What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Fireside with A&A. It's me, Adnan, and my co-host, Abby. Abby here.
Hello, I am here. I am alive.
You are alive. It's been a while. The people have been asking as well, like, where's Abby gone? And I'm like, don't ask. 3 months in 2025 have been like the most dramatic and eventful that I've ever heard. We won't be talking about stuff that's been happening there. But yes, you're back. We're back as well, so there's plenty of things to talk about. Before you start, if you are new here, please do consider dropping subscribe on the channel, turn notifications, like the video. Even if you don't like the video, you should like it as well. You know, this is a great podcast you can come and enjoy. It's on YouTube, and all our other podcasts are on RSS feeds. This will come to RSS feeds at some point. I need to get a logo done as well. I need to get other things done. So just bear with me. It is going to happen, and you're going to get this content very sporadically. Hopefully, it comes out before the end of the month because I'm very stressed with the amount of work I've got at the moment. But we're back, Abby. So we are now on the 21st of March. We're recording the first 4 episodes. We have talked a lot about Life is Strange and also Double Exposure mainly. I wouldn't be surprised if Life is Strange makes its way back in this conversation at some point later in the stage, but I think we're shifting our attention mainly to Lost Record, Bloom and Rage, which is now out. It came out in February 18th, I think it was, on the first tape, and then now tape 2 comes out in April 15th, so it's not too far away. I finished the game. You are playing through it. You are up to X point at the moment, which is
Um, they have just gone into the creepy woods after filming their very choppy music video, courtesy of me and my little keyboard here.
and why did you stop playing it there?
Because I was scared and it was 11 p.m. and I already have terrible anxiety, so um,
There we go.
fair enough.
Yeah, we had to get that out. But yes, you're there up to that point. I'm still only on my second playthrough. I've been meaning to play this game, but like literally my life has been swamped with work. And don't ask, like if you ever look at my schedule, you'll be like, how do you even do the
Yeah,
podcast and stuff?
I don't know how you do it.
Um, I don't know. Adam does it as well. He looks at me like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I just don't know, Adam." It's like, I don't know. Somehow the universe will connect, and I'll like eventually like get to this. But yeah, I've just not had a chance to play it. Like it's literally been one thing after another, as you've seen with the channel and all the other stuff. But anyway, we're on Lost Records. So Abby, I'll let you take the floor. How do you feel about it so far? Playing what you have played.
The pacing's a little slow, honestly. I think there's a lot to look around at. And I like that it kind of tells the background and, you explore the environment and get really immersed in it. But like I mean, you and I have talked about it. Like pacing's just super slow in the beginning and it takes a lot of time to build up. Um, but I love how gay it is. I love that. I'm having a lot of
I don't
fun.
think there's, I don't think there's a lot of gayness that's happened at that point either yet. Yet.
Well, not the way I've played it.
By any chance as well, because you're quite far into it, did you see the squirrels in the game for the optional recording?
um, I've seen squirrels in the game. I don't
But did
know
you see
where.
2 squirrels in the game together
No.
doing, oh, okay.
Oh
When you
wait,
play
yeah,
through it
yeah.
again.
On the picnic table?
What's that?
On the picnic table?
No, they were, like, further up in a in the background doing something which is inappropriate, but I'll let you, find that when you go through your second playthrough. It's a nice little, surprise. Um, no, it sounds interesting that you've had that experience. It is a slow burner. I have
Yeah.
to admit that. I think, like, in revisionist history kind of sense, or, like, at least in a hindsight perspective, I think, like, because this game is free on PS Plus and because free, it's available on PS Plus and it's at the price it is, I think they should have made the game faster at the beginning because people will check out, especially in this day and age. It's not Lost Records' fault, my personal opinion, because I can sit through things. I've like, I'm not sitting there watching like, Saving Private Ryan, be like, let's get the explosions going very quickly. I'm like kind of like I'm fine with where pacing goes with things, but well, actually, maybe that's not the best example. Like a historical film, I'm fine with it being a bit of a slow burner, but with like this generation, especially with like I think even if you're a millennial, the TikTok trend has like ruined your like attention span. And it is usually very
For
short. So you have to
sure.
like hook. Well, people don't listen to our 3 minute podcast that we send it to each other. It's like, and what did you say in the last voice note? I'm trying like you have to like do a mental backlog. But anyway, I agree with you in the sense that it is slow. I'm fine with it because I think like in itself it's story building, world building, and you really have to spend time with the characters. I think the caveat I give it is the fact that Nora and Autumn know each other, and Kat and Swann don't know the other two girls. So it's four characters coming together. Only two of them really know each other. So it's almost like, okay, we need to kind of like set up that, like, the believability where it's like these people have actually met and they're starting to like mingle, and you get a bit of friendship. So when the prologue starts, it's like the credits are there. But it is interesting that we have had that experience. But how do you find the camera? How you like? Because I think you said that you were like looking at too many things at one point.
Yeah, I didn't love the camera to begin with. I mean, my fault for not setting my key bindings correctly because like I couldn't figure out how to pull it up for a while. I think that the memoirs, like I understand that they serve their purpose and you can kind of get those added pieces of dialogue if you keep the camera up long enough. Um, but sometimes I think it's like it just drags the story out even longer, and I don't feel like the plot was necessarily progressing in those moments, except for the music video when Kat and Nora kissed.
Well, they, yeah, that's a real highlight for you, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Um,
And not
yeah,
only for me, multiple people are fans of that scene, if YouTube is
of
any
course,
indication.
of course, it's always that. It's a donut game. It has to happen. Um, it is interesting because, like, when I was playing through my playthrough, there were moments where I had the camera up for like large portions of it, and then I wasn't interacting with things in the world. So sometimes I felt like I was walking around just with the camera filming things, hopefully getting like
Mm,
things that I might have missed. But then I missed optional like little objects. So like I think in the playground there's like a cookie tin, like, one of those big
mhm.
tins. And I joked about it later in the game because I was like, this is like adult, like, trauma where you'd open up and your mum's sewing kits in it. And I put it on like Twitter, but then when I played it through my second playthrough, I found it in the playground when it's dark. And I was like, oh, I actually missed it. And then when Swann clicks on it, then adult Swann does the voice, and it's like, and she does exactly what I said. I was like,
Oh,
oh, actually, I missed it later in the game because I was like, adult Swann doesn't narrate it, so it's like it's one of those things that I missed
so you
because I was
stole her
like,
joke by accident.
yeah, unintentionally. So it's like, but no, I kind of get the thing with the camera because it is. See, like, I one of my favorite games, if anything, has been Death Stranding for the last 10 years, and it's like that's very similar to this. It's a bit more, even more slow paced in certain respects. But I'm fine with like world building. I'm fine with immersing myself in the world. And when I play like this game, for example, this is what I wish like Life is Strange was, for example, at the minute, where like Max walks around with a camera and takes photos, like an optional camera. It would be great for that. But with
Mhm.
this game, though, at least you get that where you're kind of exploring the world and having fun with it. How do you find Swan as a
Um,
character?
I like Swan. I don't like her as much as I expected to. She seems a little old for what, like 15, 16. I don't know how old she's exactly supposed to be,
Yeah.
but I mean, maybe that's kind of intentional because she's supposed to be kind of like an old soul. Um, I don't know, she's awkward. I think that's funny. But right now I'm not particularly vibing with like any of the characters in their relationships together. So I'm trying to figure out how to navigate that.
Yeah, I think as I said to your podcast, you are literally for me at the where it starts to and it starts to
Yeah,
pick up. This is when when you're in that forest and you go through X scenes, they literally build relationships, and the vibe starts to get there as well. So it feels like the characters like are becoming even more familiar and friendly and etc. So
yeah.
generally speaking, but at least you enjoy Swan though. I saw some outrageous takes online, like people saying that I don't like Swan. And I'm like, but I
Right.
love Max, and I'm kind of like, what? I'm like, that's a very interesting thing to say. Like you don't like Swan, but you like Max, and it's like the same person created
Mm,
those characters
I think
and
that's
wrote them.
cat phobia.
Yeah, maybe there's some couple of '90s digs in there for Swan as well from Corey,
Yeah.
who's an interesting character. But no, I'm glad that you're enjoying it so far and seeing some things. I agree with some of the criticisms that people have made of it. I think like my experience is a bit different with it because I'm like I'm fine with this kind of product. These are the kind of things I enjoy, but I also see how it'd be perceived in terms of a wider audience, where some people might be like it's a bit slow, and it might be like this, and it could have used like a little couple of tweaks where it moves the story a bit forward faster. But where you're strategically at in the game is going to pick up, and that is when the fun starts, which is always a nice thing for you to see. Um, how was your experience making the music video?
Um, well, like I said, my camera or my films rather are very choppy because I'm just doing it with like my left and right keys here. But I think that that's such a fun mechanic. I've never seen anything like that in a video game. I love that she made them kiss and like didn't ask them if it was okay. She's just like, you should kiss for my video. Um, so that was definitely a lot of fun. But right now I just feel like in general, I'm coming on really strong with all of the girls and simultaneously pissing them off. So it's like art imitates life, you know?
Pretty much. Sounds about right for that quartet dynamic. Who give us your take now. Who's your favorite so far, the one that you're gravitating towards, and who do you not like at the moment? I mean, like in terms of like air quotes, where it's like you're not vibing with them at the minute.
Yeah, I think, just by nature of, like, how many hearts I've received, how many correct answers I've done, probably Autumn is the one that I'm vibing with the most, but also it's biased because you're speaking to her in present tense. So,
Yeah.
there's that component. I like Nora. I like Nora a lot more than I expected to. I thought she was gonna be annoying, but she's not. I'm not really vibing with Kat. I thought that I was going to like her a lot more.
Mm.
Don't really like her.
Now that's a hot take because I think I would say that Cat is the most popular based on how
Well, she's
people have like played.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think again, I think that the world will like before people jump on her in the comments, the world will like open up in terms of like you'll start seeing more of the characters, their personalities. You really start mingling with them and start building the relationship. So it's like it's kind of nice that you get that experience and you'll start like maybe shift from like girl to girl. How do you find the Jesus Christ,
Shift
Abby?
from girl to girl.
Come on, this that's for private conversations off the podcast. We don't
Right,
talk about
right. Calm
that.
down.
Um, right. On I got lost my thought. On the adult timeline, how do you find that by the way, when they keep switching back and forth? So it's from like adult timeline, back to child timeline, 2022, 1995.
Yeah, you and I have talked about that. I think that that's the point of the game that you're
Yes,
reminiscing.
but
Yeah.
we've talked about it, but people don't know about it. That's what they want to hear.
Well, yeah, true. Well, I'm just referencing our, previous
Yeah.
conversations that, like, I understand that that's a criticism that people have, but that's literally the point of the game that you've or that Autumn rather has received this creepy ass box and you have to figure out what's inside of it, but you need context from the past. So, I don't mind it. In fact, I like the past more than I like the present scenes.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
That's
Why do
interesting.
you not like
I like the adult one.
you like
I
the
really
present?
like. I like the adult one because it's like a really quite accurate reflection. When you feel like you're just like grown up and you see like your younger version, and it's like, ooh, it's
Mhm.
like was it really like that? And it's just like when it's like what I like it, and it's not really explored. It's explored very early on, quickly. It's like that awkward dynamic of like Autumn and Swan meeting each other for the first time in like X period. And it's like,
Mhm.
ooh, should I hug you? And it's like, it's like maybe let's leave the hug or do the hug, and then kind of work off that dynamic. I find it interesting because what's going on in the modern timeline, it's like that snap back to reality. It's like
Yeah.
everything you're doing in the 90s, and it's like you're playing it. It's like, oh, this is fun and da da da. And then during the artistic aesthetic like shift, where it's like quite colorful and bright and vibrant. You remember the 90s? It's like all colorful. You walk into McDonald's, it's like wow, it's like yellow
Yeah, or
and
like a
blue
Taco
and yeah.
Bell
And now
seat.
yeah, and now you go into a McDonald's that's corporate and it looks like grey and drab and it looks like an office space. It's like that kind of thing that I like where it jumps you back into because it's like, oh, actually, it was actually quite fun back then. I'm like, but now it's different. But generally speaking, yeah, I'm more of a fan of the adult one just because of what they're doing at the moment. Because it feels like that's where we're getting somewhere, at least where after I finished take one, where it's like, oh, actually, this is going to be interesting to see how things unfold. Do you have any theories of what's in the box so far? It's early. I know you've not.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit too early. Hopefully, it's not like Nora's head or something.
Jesus, it's not seven. Like,
I mean, I'm assuming it's like some kind of videotape of a crime that was committed, so
interesting. That was interesting.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm still, like, really, really early in the game.
Yeah, Yeah, I think you'll have more feelings of it once you finish the first 8, where you're like, actually like, because I think, have you picked it up yet?
Have I picked up the box?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know
Yeah,
it's not
so
a bomb. Well, also, like,
no, not
Didn't Autumn bring it through the security of the airport? Or did she drive? Because she's coming from Atlanta to Michigan.
it's not a bomb. Yeah, don't worry. It's not, it
So,
would
like,
be,
yeah, it's nothing dangerous if it went through airport security.
it does make a bit of noise, and I don't know what, I still like, I'm torn on it. Obviously, I can't say anything because I'm much further in the game
Mhm.
than you. But I do have a feeling it might be player determinant. So it's like all the choices, decisions that have been made in the game.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like something's going to happen where it's like maybe it tinkers a little bit. Um, but also as well, I don't. Swann hasn't been shown either. Do you have anything for that? Because I have like my own theories, and some people are like, yeah, no, and then it's like, but again, different point.
Like, what do I think she looks like?
Yeah, while we're not seeing her.
Yeah, I know you have your theories. I think she probably has some kind of facial abnormality, like a scar or a burn or something like that.
That's the one that people are going for. And I can
Yeah.
see that as well. It's a realistic one as well. Mine's a little bit mine's like my kind of story that I would tell. It's a bit out there as a
Yeah.
theory,
You
but
can tell yours
I think
if you've shared it.
yeah, we put a video out recently as well. Me and it was like my idea was that she was really old at like first like early days, whereas like she's like probably aged a lot more than the others. But then Adam had like the kind of idea where he's like she's probably like a lot younger. She might have like stayed quote unquote forever younger or like a relatively decent age. Like whilst everyone looks 42, she doesn't look like that. So she might actually be aging in numbers, but her facial look might stay the same for a certain reason. Um, which
Yeah,
does
she
have a
lives in
little bit
Canada. She has free
well,
healthcare.
yeah, especially in Michigan. They're like rolling it in 2022, aren't they? Um there is like one or two ways where places where I put credence in the theory because I think like one of them where like Autumn's like you look the same Swan and I'm like, is that too much on the nose, or is that like actual like you look the same? And it's like, well, I do question it more because it's like you wouldn't hide your character. Like in itself, it works like as a narrative device where it's like first person, so it feels like you're projecting the experience. And it makes you feel like more connected with the character, but also the way that they've done it, and everyone else's like models are there and they're moving around. I'm like, you've hidden the character for a reason, and it's like a clear reason. And maybe that is one of the reasons where it's a scar or something like it's on her like face or something. God only knows. So because there's a lot of stuff that probably will still happen in this game, but I'm glad that you're enjoying it. Though that's the main thing.
Yeah, it was honestly really hard to play the first couple of times that I tried to play through, like, sitting down and actually getting through it was really tough, especially the prologue. I just feel like it moved way too slow.
Yeah.
Um, but now that I'm in it, especially with this upcoming scene where Swann is filming in the night right after the music video, I think it'll be interesting.
Oh yes. How are you playing it? By the way, I'm not. This is not a critique, but like, how are you playing it? Are you playing like hour blocks or like 2 hour blocks? Like when you're sitting down and playing so far.
I'm trying to do 2-hour blocks like you suggested, but,
Mhm.
like, with my work schedule and stuff, it's kind of hard. Um, and also I'm
Oh
old.
yes.
I'm old and I'm tired, Adnan. Can't just sit for 2 hours and play a video game. But I'm really trying, and
I wish I no. I wish I had those days. Those days are long gone where
I
I am in my
know.
life. It's like, oh,
I miss
God
college.
Almighty. I was in my late 20s when I started this channel and the podcast and stuff. And now I'll be 32 in
Ooh,
April. It terrifies me.
32. Wow, that's really old.
How old are you again?
We're the same exact age. We're, like, a couple
Are
of months.
we?
Yeah.
Oh. So Adam's the oldest out of us.
Is Adam old? I Is
Yeah.
he old? Well,
The
Adam's
cap's a sign of
twin.
it.
He and I are twins,
Cap
so
on.
same
Yeah.
age.
I need to tell him about that actually.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, he's the oldest out of a lot of us. I believe he's like pushing 50 at this point, but no,
that
it's not. He's
tracks.
in, he's
Did
he's
he
in his
get part of whatever Swan had that made her age in
that's
reverse?
yeah, he's gonna become first person on the podcast going forward. It'll just be like you can't see him. It's like he's
Nice.
hidden. Um, no, but I'm glad that you're enjoying the game and where you're at as well, and the progress you're making, and hopefully get to the end of it. Because I think you'll have like a different like crazy vibe of it. How are you finding the music? You like music, just about.
I do like music just about. Astutely noted. I honestly haven't really noticed the music, which I don't think is a compliment. Nothing's really standing out to me. I do love Nora and Autumn's the little Riot Girl songs. Actually, like I was taking a video of a couple of them just because I thought they were so funny. Um, yeah, haven't really noticed any of the music at all.
Oh wow. Yeah, we need to get you further in the game. You need to like the soundtrack's immense. I would 100% recommend you listen to it because it is like so far at least. I think it's 11 tracks, I think. Then there's 7 more that come out in the second tape, which are like away on that. But I would 100% like recommend you like get further in it because like the Riot Girls on the "See You in Hell" song from Nora Kelly Band is very good, and the way they do it as well. I remember when I was like doing the drum machine, I was like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah,
My
that was
my
really cool.
my toxic trait started coming out. I was like, this is easy. And Adam's like, oh, it's like 10 hours to make a track. And you're like, oh, I need to get Steph Trivison. I was like, who needs Steph Trivison when I've got this like drum kit? And I was like, yeah, there's me.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, I thought that that was a really fun mechanic. I think there are like lots of very smart and interesting mechanics in this game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if anything, as long as the game's like a steady success and like a steady stepping stone, there's a lot more potential in this because like for me, it feels like, and I said it before, I was like, I feel like this is what Life is Strange should have been doing, where it's like, Max has a camera and we're walking around like shooting things and like doing stuff. It's like it never really like evolved as a series up to this point. It's like 2025 and it feels like it's stagnated. Especially in this like time, like this genre is like struggling. It's struggling to break through because there's different things that have happened where trends have changed. And then also one thing I kind of like felt, if anything, what I felt is like in the sense of people have got older. So it's like when, for example, Life is Strange has now released its last game in 2024. There's a 9 year gap there, and some people would have aged into their 30s, and then they get to that adult stage where it's like, "Oh, I don't play video games anymore because they're for kids and they get like families and they never play video games again." Well, it does happen where people start falling off a series, and
Mhm.
that genre has like changed so much in the last 9 or 10 years. Like when we're eventually getting to where we're at now with Lost Records, it's like the same desire for it isn't as popular, but I still think it can. I think if the second tape does well, it might attract more people and funnel people in. I will be personal as well. I think that Don't Nod is not taking advantage of TikTok as a platform where they should be really selling this game as a marketing device. I just find it questionable in a marketing sense of why they're not using that algorithm because it's like it's a free publicity album. Like you basically find people on it. I found you on TikTok. Like we are now doing a podcast because of that. So it's like get it out to people. Like you can splice things together, but I'm just not sure like where in itself, it's like all the stuff that's happened at Don't Know at the minute in terms of restructuring the company and like the way they're doing things. This last 4 years has shown how weak Don't Nod is from a marketing standpoint in terms of getting their game out to a wider audience. And especially nowadays in games, like sell a game nowadays, like something starting fresh and brand new is so difficult to keep people interested. Um, so yeah, I hope that it's just at least a steady success and it's a solid foundation for them as well. And that could be like a stepping stone forward. But I don't know, man. I do have like my own little things about Don't Worry. It's like I'm hoping that they do have good sustained success. Same with like Deck Nine because like both those studios are like at the mercy of the gaming industry at the minute, and the climate is awful. And I'm just like watching as an observer, thinking like, well, this isn't good.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the extent to which they're on TikTok, but I know when I made a Lost Records video, like, well, probably 6 months ago, it ended up doing really well. So there are people who are interested in that genre, and in the topics. So
Yeah.
so sorry to
Well,
sound
I've.
like something. I have to cut that out.
I'm giving it in. Um,
Oh, no.
I so I've on the TikTok like they've done some ones that were really well. So I think they did one Chloe Price's birthday, and they did it really well with like the music and the sound and all the other stuff. But it's like with a new IP, you need to like really target the right people. So it's like those like little I would make like cat compilations because like she's just so funny in the game, or like
Yeah.
try and do and even go down the sapphic route as well, where you said like maybe like some of those scenes, just like play them because it's like you just need to get in front of someone's face, and then at that point it could be dollar dollar ching ching, and they buy the game, which is good for Don't Nod. I just think that the marketing needs to be more robust, and it's not been as strong. And I think it's where Don't Nod needs to go back to the drawing board and really try and sell their brands a bit more because like the studio needs a hit, and it's not had one since Life is Strange 1. It's got Vampire, which does okay, but they really haven't done anything in the last 5 years which has moved the needle. Um, and I'm wishing them the best when the second tape comes out because maybe more people will play it. There's a physical release and some of those other dates where they could get more sales, but generally speaking, it needs to pick up a bit more because you don't want this game to not sell well or end up like Life is Strange recently, which in itself is like quite the nightmare situation there. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, I think Swann has a lot of really funny one-liners, not even with the cat, just in general, like when she's talking to herself. Um,
she's fantastic. Do you know
yeah.
what? Someone said that in a comment to us as well on the Strange Cast where they were like, I can't remember who it was now. Whoever it was, thank you. We did it for a comment of the day on the podcast, and they were saying that with Don't Nod and Michel, the director, he does, and Jean Luc as well. It's like they write characters so much better in terms of like internal monologues. So it's like
Yeah.
Max, Swann, any of their characters, they all have it shown. And then it's like when you have Deck Nine's perspective, it's like sometimes um, Alex and DE Max and any other character they've done. It felt like they needed the prompt. So it's like you'd go and touch something, then they'd talk to
So
themselves.
I was literally just about to say that with Deck Nine's internal monologues, it feels very clinical, like, "Oh, I should go pick up that box now, an
Yeah.
open box, to see what is
Yeah.
inside the box."
Yeah, it doesn't come across natural. So it's like, when
Yeah,
you have a character like that, and basically Swan has been marketed as a deep introvert and is no different from a reflection of Michelle. So he's projected himself onto the character. So it's like she has that sense of humor and that quirkiness, and she'll talk to herself and she'll do like the goofy things, and it's like, and in her world, it's normal, which is
yeah,
like always a great sign of a character. So it's like nice to have that with Swan because it feels like you're never alone, and that's a good thing as well because it's like technically she's alone as an introvert, but it's like you still have some kind of company, and I enjoy that. And it's like that's where Deck Nine lacks that in the writing department in terms of
mhm,
the characters rather than the strength that Donut has with the writing. Um,
yeah.
and
Also, can we just quickly talk about how good the accents are? Like, they're so on point. Those Michigan, Midwestern accents, perfect.
Yeah, the actors are all great. Philip Barker's back as well, who's the VO director for Life is Strange 1, BTS, Captain Spirit, and 2, who came back for this project and is a fantastic VO director. But yeah, the accents are nailed as well. They had to nail that accent. I know you said that, for example, you were like, you found it a bit different with like where like Olivia Lepore doesn't sound like a young Swan, but she obviously does fit the adult one because like she is playing both of them. And I think for me personally, I think that's because of budgeting as well, that they've basically had to like do her for both. So it's like this is no different in terms of the cast size, like the first Life is Strange, where when Ashley Birch did like 4 or 5 characters, or 2 or 3, and Hannah did 2 or 3 characters. It's like that. You're gonna have to like play both sets of characters. So I think like her voice isn't, in your opinion at least, where it's like it's not naturally fitted for like a 16-year-old girl, but
Well,
for the
I
adult
feel
version.
yeah, I feel differently after playing it a little while longer.
See, there you go. Now you
Yeah.
become an Olivia Lepore convert. I told you.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Um, I think that the actress who plays Autumn is really good at switching between the
Uh,
2 kind of cadences, so for younger Autumn and older Autumn. I don't know
you
the
saw her on
actor's name.
TV,
Yes,
Andrea.
the one in that one episode of The Good Witch, which is how I know her. Clearly, she's very
Um,
distinct, though, like, she's a she has, like, a distinctive look and voice.
One thing I found wild as well, because she was pregnant during this period when they're making the game.
Mhm.
So she did some of the mocap while she was pregnant. But one of the ones that's wild for me is she's sitting there doing the VO, but she's pregnant. So she's obviously sat in the chair, like bump that, and she's doing it. And I'm like, that must be like so deeply uncomfortable as well. Because like if you're sitting in a certain position as a woman whilst pregnant and then also doing that, I'm like, amazing because at least it shows in the performance and the dedication, and there's never any doubt of that. But it is amazing to see it though. I think she is fantastic. I think she's like her performance is very nuanced. Andrea Carter's with Autumn. Autumn's a very nuanced character. I
Yeah.
found so I
Yeah,
loved her.
Autumn's great. Women are so badass. They're the
We're not
best.
taking any. We're not taking any Olivia Lepore slander. I've already had to deal with your podcast. I'm like,
I'm
fantastic.
not slandering Olivia Lepore, I said she was great.
Well, you said about the 16-year-old, you're like, "Why don't you like" I'm like, "No." Like, fantastic. And that's not just because she follows the Instagram, but no, fantastic. Like, um, no, they're all good. I think they're all good. I think Corey's a great character. Me and Adam really like Adam loves Corey as like a character, and I like him as well in terms of like the character construct. And he gives me big like Frank Bowers meets Dave Madsen vibes. He's more
Mhm.
he's like a complete three-dimensional character, and he's not one-dimensional. And this is where I do the dig. He's not one-dimensional like Lucas, or for example, like one of the characters that was in like Double Exposure, where it's like he just becomes. Do you know when he becomes? Or Vince?
Yeah.
Do you remember Vince Oldham? It's like, oh, just like bad cop. It's like no, this guy's like he's like is as he is, and when you see him later in the game as well, he's like he has like different multi-layered, again layered characters. They all have purpose there. It feels like the characters have purpose there, and the world's nice to be in for Lost Records, which is always a great experience.
Yeah. Um, I do have some critiques of the game.
Oh god.
Specifically, I mean, just while we're talking about voice acting, sometimes the mouths are not animated. I don't know if you've experienced that too, but it's like it really takes you out of the world, especially when it's happened for me mostly when I'm filming. Um, and it's like it's just kind of janky for a studio.
Oh no, don't. No, I don't. Do you know what? When I was in the industry, gaming industry in 2015, one of my main criticisms about Life is Strange in my reviews were lip syncing, and I was
Yeah.
like, and we're in 2025, but they're doing motion capture and then VO separately, and it's too
Mhm.
hard. Like you do get spoiled by Deck Nine when they do performance capture and by other studios because everything does stick up. And when as I agree with you as well, when the game is built like it is, it's a narrative game, and you have to zoom in on people's faces and the lip syncing isn't there. I'm like, for me, for me, it is a bother. I do critique it a lot, and we did talk about that in a review. Me and Adam, I was like, lip syncing is again an issue here. Um, I wish like they were just like Oscar Gilbert, the Don't Know CEOs, just like here's the money, go to Deck Nine, do the performance
Yeah,
capture.
Deck Nine's performance capture is definitely superior.
Yeah, that would be the dream for me. Like the animations and like the mocap and stuff like that done by Deck Nine, the game built by Don't Nod, and it's a co-developed game. It would be like a 10 out of 10 for me. It would nail it out of the ballpark for that. For
They
me
have
as
the
well, it'd be great.
co-development service now.
There you go. See, there you go. Like if Oscar Gilbert open the war chest and unleash the funds to Mr. Web Pickers Guild. Let him make this game.
Yeah.
Um, the mocap. No, for me as well, it would just be too sweet if they actually did that in the end in like another game in the future, and the game just went,
Yeah.
whoosh, and then like Square just angry, and it's like, yes, oh yes, just desserts. Sell your $5 cat content whilst we like get this for free. It's like built into this game. What what did you call your cat
What did I call my cat?
at the beginning
What
of
do
the
you mean?
game?
Oh,
Swann's cat.
sorry.
He's we need to
Pumpkin.
get into a we need to get into a routine of doing monthly podcasts because this is what happens. The
Yeah, I'm like,
structure is
yeah,
gone.
like, my cat's name. Pumpkin, though.
But uh see, I was a pumpkin lover at first, but then I tend to Shadow. And I think Shadow's the only choice that's right there.
It'll be Shadow my second playthrough. How about that?
There you go. Happy days. Um, no, it's a vibe. I really enjoy the game. I'm digging it. I'm looking forward to it when I get time, then I can actually go back and play it through secondly and third time as well. But God only knows where time actually gets to me at this point. Um, but no, generally speaking, like the entire playthrough from start to finish, it's like it's a slow burner. I accept that. I also accept the criticism of it as well. It does take a lot, and even the world immersion is there's a lot going on. It. I think one thing I found as well, maybe this might change your opinion on things. When I got later into the tape, what I realized is you didn't have to record everything. And then I kind of got to that moment where the game started to pick up because I was like, actually, I don't really need to record every single graffiti. It's like I need to really be a bit more selective because a lot of them are appearing in different places. And
Mhm.
at that point, it was like, actually, I'm more spending time in my world and kind of like doing things along those lines.
Yeah. Also, how does that work
So,
with storage?
so yeah, because like there's some set ones where you can get them. I think you can like keep recording other sequences and then you can put them in and out and take them out and you delete them because I think that that's one of the limitations of the game not coming onto Switch, because they said that the memoir mechanic is so like loaded with things. You have to like constantly like fill it with things. So I think like yeah, you can like record more sequences and get rid and archive stuff as well. Because I was like constantly like delete. I was like getting rid of things out of my camera. Um, it's a nice experience. It's different as well, and I'm happy with that. And it does a lot of things where I think like honestly, Square needs to look at our product and be like, actually, they are making a good game here, a lot of quality things with it. And it's like, that's what Life is Strange should really be. Because like, I don't want Life is Strange to ever end. Because it's like, in itself, one of the things that people overlook as well, Life is Strange is an established IP and established brand. And one of the things that happens with Life is Strange is if a new person comes to Life is Strange, what's the first question they usually do when they finish the game, or maybe the fifth? It's like, can you recommend me a game that's similar to Life is Strange? And the first thing people are going to be like, it's Lost Records, it's from Don't Nod, it's made by the creators of Life is Strange, and there's a knock-on effect. So it's good for like at least marketing purposes. Getting rid of it makes it even more kind of struggling in a genre because it's like actually there goes a big hitter in the franchise, like in that franchise of like genres. So I'm hoping that like they actually like look at the product and learn about it. But considering what they've done recently, I'm not holding my breath at the moment. Um, but no, I'm glad that you like Lost Records. I'm happy with that.
I really do. It's definitely entertaining. I'm glad that I bought it and supported Don't Nod.
Yeah.
Uh, and I'm just looking forward to it picking up, but you said that it will in the scene that I'm on.
Oh yes, the forest stuff is fun. There's some great sequences in it. There are like fantastic sequences in it. I think that's when the story like really hits like the next level. But it's quite interesting that you got the vibe as well, where it becomes a little bit horror and you got a little bit scared. Because I'm like, I hope that no, it's good though because like that I think it has to set that tone, and I'm hoping that it goes like that more in the second tape where it becomes a bit more entrenched in horror because there's always been horror elements within that game, especially the first Life is Strange. The dark room stuff was very like dark or horror-y, if anything. So
Yeah, but this one gives me more supernatural horror.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
still don't know what's going on. Like it could be anything. They could be facing a serial killer in the woods. I don't know.
yeah. Keep playing it. You're gonna develop a lot of different feelings and different stop story plot points. The things do start to unroll because, like, as you said, that first part is literally just getting to know the girls and their personalities, and it's a very slow start. But
Yeah.
then when it gets into the meat of the bone, it's like, oh, actually, and here's a mystery, and here's a mystery, and here's a mystery, and it's like fantastic. And thankfully, like no character like disappears from the game, or like no one dies that we know of, and they don't explain it like another game.
Yeah, I'm still not convinced that no one's died. Like, do we know that Nora and Kat are still alive?
I'm not ruining the yeah. Oh yeah, should I ruin the game for you, Abby? I'm like
Oh, well,
on
I
the
didn't know if
podcast.
it had been discussed yet in tape 1.
Well, you'll have to finish it first, and then you can play and see
Alright.
what happens in there. That's what's going to happen. But no, it's got structured story points, and what happens in the game as well. I think you'll find very interesting. It is a very interesting story that is being told so far that I find, and you'll find like a lot of you'll start developing theories because it leaves you with a lot of ooh, what's going to happen next, and ooh, what have I just seen, and how has this played out, which is
Mhm.
always a nice part of the game. So I'm always for that. By the way, as well, would you agree with me as well? Do you think adult Swan's mum is just no, sorry, adult Swan? Do you think Swan's mum is just a dick? Because like Jesus Christ, she's like the representation of 1990s mum, isn't she?
Yeah, I don't know if that makes her a dick, but it makes her annoying.
She's so oh my god, just keep like wait to keep playing get oh my
She's
god.
very,
She
like,
represents
happy.
yeah, but she's like every 90s mum, wasn't she? It's like, when we're sitting here with the trauma from our 90s mums who are like, oh, don't worry. It's not like you don't have like depression, even though your dad's depressed. And it's like he has this issue. It's like, oh, I wonder where we got that from, didn't we? It's like they
Yeah,
always like just put everything under the rug. And it's like, oh, don't worry about that. It's not trauma that you have from there. Even though I like drowned you in the bath, like, whilst I was trying to like throw water on top of you, like making you wash. Maybe I'm pulling my own trauma out. But
yeah.
yeah,
I've shoved it all
anything
down
else?
so far that I can't speak to it.
Oh dear God. Anything else on Lost Records?
No, I'm looking forward to playing more and more to come. Sorry that I didn't have much material this time, but I did try to get through it as much as I could.
No, it's fair. But like we were like again, things have just been moving parts. Like my life is so busy at the moment. Like
Yeah, we're so busy.
I just want to like just play this game and like my I like for context as well. If you're ever wondering, this is what my schedule is. I work a full time job like everyone else. Then I also do 2 days of volunteering for my course, which I do. I also do an educational course at the minute, which I'm studying for. I also do assignments in my spare time, and I do this. So if you're wondering why I'm not playing Lost Records, I haven't played Tape Two. It's not out of choice. It's out of frustration that we're not playing it. But hopefully things ease up at the end of the month, and then we can go from there. And hopefully you also get through more of it, and then Tape Two comes out, and we can start unraveling more things on the podcast, and that'll always be fun for everyone. Um, Life is Strange talk. Do we need any Life is Strange talk here?
I feel like that's done and dusted. Like, what else are we gonna say about double exposure, you know?
It's not just about Double X, it's about the franchise in general because like everything has just gone quiet, and
Yeah.
it's like ooh, and it's like here's a focus group, and here's a focus group, and ooh, no one's coming to collect the award for Double Exposure at GDC. And
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
crazy.
this has happened. What's that?
I said that's crazy that that happened.
It's just mad. Well, it's the state of the what's happened here. It's like
And
Deck
no
Nine
one
is
was at
like
GDC to represent Life is Strange?
there were people at Deck Nine formerly and also current at GDC, but like no one was there to collect the award. Like one of the former Deck Nine developers, I think she's called Giselle, who was like a narrative designer, was in the crowd and they announced it and they were like, no one from the team is here to collect it. And she's just sat there like, I worked in this game and I'm in the crowd and I can't go and get it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then Aisha Farah, the former writer, was at GDC, didn't even know about the nomination, and then went and collected the award. And then in the article as well, I think Elizabeth Blau was like, we didn't go and get the award because like, everyone got laid off, lol." And I'm like, I have a lot to say about that take, but maybe that's another time for me and Adam to have a conversation about that. Because like it's not the flex you think it is. 'Cause it's like I get what you're saying from your perspective that, oh yeah, you guys did get laid off and then no one's going to get the award and this has happened, but also as well, the damage you've caused and stuff like that, there is also a reason why people probably didn't go and get the award because like Double Exposure has like ended the way it has, and people like wonder what happens in the future of the franchise, um, which in itself is a lot to be said because I think people are
Yeah.
seeing things.
I feel like that's a powerful signal though for the folks who were laid off, to just kind of sit there in the audience and like no one from the team is going to collect the award. Like, I don't know. Um, it just shows that they let so many people who were so talented go.
That's one way of looking at it. That's one way of looking at
That's how I
it.
see
Um, well, because you enjoyed it, which is, as I've
it.
said
Yeah.
before, people think it's like that's good that you enjoyed it. There was a lot of questions to be asked about that game. I think again, it's like we talk about because you're like you saw the issues with the game, and it's like I still need to go back and play that game. Like I haven't touched that game since I played it, and it's the only Life is Strange game I've finished where I don't have all the trophies. And I just every time I think about it, I'm like, I need to go back and play this because I do need to go back and see it. I can't do it, man. It's like so like sour taste in my mouth. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
how badly I think of certain things about it. It So I was thinking about it. There are so many ways to make it work because people don't know the full like timeline of events that happen in this game and the things that happen behind the scenes. And for me personally, the best way I can put it, if anything, do you know what? I can't stop doing that now. So Abby once pointed this out. So she's like, "You say if anything on every voice," and I'm like, "Abby, I can't believe you pointed that out because like every podcast I watch, I'm like, oh, I say it then. I'm like, I said it again. I'm like, fantastic." But back to the point, the way that I've seen things and I've learned about this project and learned about it, this is where my assessment is. If I were John Stauder, the game director, thankfully I'm not. Don't know what the pause was just like if I were John Stauder, the game director on this project, and I worked at Deck Nine, do you know what my next decision would have been? I would have resigned.
Scrap the game and stuff. Oh, okay. Yeah, that too.
I would, and or the two options. I would have pushed back on what was being asked and what the decision was, etc., etc. Or
Yeah.
secondly, the main one would have been I would have walked from Deck Nine and never direct. I would never have put my name on this game because the way the game plays out, you see it, and people saw it with the way that things happened. Like because in itself as well, if you look at the other timeline, so the one that you play where Chloe is dead, right, and
Mhm.
you do it from the arcade bit ending, the game does work in certain respects. So,
It
like
does.
the chapter one works and it's fine, it's okay. Chapter two is okay, fine. Chapter three, that's where things start to take a little bit of a nosedive in certain places. It still works and it functions to an end where it's like, oh, the Safi reveal happens, and it's like, oh, fantastic. Then it's like four, it falls apart, and then five, it collapses on itself with all the stuff that happens. But then when you do it from the other side, which is the one where Chloe is alive, the game fails at the first hurdle. So as soon as you get to the table where Safi is and you have the conversation saying about Chloe, the game's failed at that point. So basically, on the other side of the timeline, what if you do it from that playthrough, you can technically play about 25% of the game, I'd say, or maybe 50%. You see the cat.
While they're running their
um,
mouths.
just causing mayhem. You could probably
Yeah.
play about 30 to 40. I'm not doing revisionist history before someone jumps on me in the comments. You could probably do like 30 to 40% of the game. It's like, it's okay. It works. But then it just falls off and it just nosedives off a cliff. And all the stuff that happens in the game, I'm like, I'm still, me and Adam were talking about it recently. And I was just talking to someone else and I was like, I can't just work out some of the things that are happening in this game. Like, why the hell is there a tornado? Like, what? Where did the
Yeah,
tornado come from? Like, what? Like, who put that there? That's not a reason why tornadoes are created. Like, uh, it, you could basically that's my position as well. Where it's like, if I was John Stauder, the game director, I would have resigned from Deck Nine and not worked on this game. And on the writing department, God help you, because there's no one could have saved this project. Like the way that it's done, the way it was created, and like all the stuff that happens in between it. That's why everything just like falls apart.
yeah.
Do you still think Max Caulfield's going to return?
Uh, I hope so. I mean, like I said, and like I've been saying, I think the writing team did the best that they could do with the parameters they were given.
Mm,
You and I have also discussed like the tornadoes, even in the past couple of weeks, like why the hell was that there and how exactly did Max just like turn and walk in the other direction? And then I just thought it was funny, like looking back on Felice Kwan's comments, like, she decided that she was not going to let being gay determine how her story played out. So she just decided to walk away from the tornado.
oh,
It just
jeez.
doesn't make any sense. Like, but I liked it for what it was, even though it
That's
was
so.
not.
I just think you'd accepted it. I think you were in the place where like, I'm just gonna accept this for what it was, and I'm
Yeah,
like, no. I'm like, no. Like, I refuse to fucking accept this for what it is.
yeah. I have like
Oh
20%
god.
working brain power after work, so
It just what thing is though for me, it just annoys me because it's like this was the biggest open goal opportunity.
yeah,
It was that easy. The comics proved that there was such an efficient, not just even from the Chloe Price side, just efficiently working out a plot point and a thematic plot point. It could have worked, but you basically did that and you put it into like just this like small contained area and it's like no, it's not going to happen, and that's why the game just like goes everywhere, and that's why it's like so divided and why people like were just like furious with the game because like the worst part by the end of the game is that you get to the end of the game and you haven't done anything, so it's like oh, the timelines have merged, and the final choice is take my hand, like refuse Safi or accept Safi. What does that mean? And
yeah.
also, why are people saying accept Safi? Because that makes Max look like she's a bad person. Like, why would you accept
Max kind of
Safi? Like,
is Max a
you,
good person?
you, Abby, stop thinking from the perspective of a lesbian. Because I know that's why you said accept Safi. Because I was like, that's why you're like, oh yes, let me take her hand if anything.
Evil together.
Um, no, but like, it's just something. Like, the thing is though, with Square and where they are in the position of the franchise. Because I know people have been to the focus group and I've heard some interesting comments, which again aligns with what I know as well. Because it's like I think people are, if you're going to take focus groups, right, you'd have to like put it into the timeline of things because maybe in the future it could change things, maybe. But immediate short term, you think it's going to change everything? Like, think about the timescale of this game. Where does it enter production? 2020, 2021, around that period. True Colors is done, right? It's out. What do you think Square Enix has been doing for 3 years? Do you think they've just been sitting there thinking, "Oh well, we'll start the timeline of events out after Life is
Yeah,
Strange Double Exposure's out"? It's like they obviously you start planning ahead for your future. Like you write albums, you don't just write one song and like, well, we'll finish the album at a later date. You're planning ahead and getting stages done. It's like that's where Square's at because basically it's like you'd have to wipe everything off the table and be like, we start from scratch. and that's after the game has already lost so much money. So, like, where are they gonna go from here? And it's like, you do double exposure too, right? What happens there, like, the element of surprise Hannah Tell coming back, that's not gonna get the same love and fanfare again from people. That's gonna be completely lost because obviously the first time it was a surprise. And the only way for me it does that is if you bring Ashley Birch back, and it would have to be Ashley, it wouldn't even
Well,
be
Ashley
Rihanna doing
Burke
it.
coming back because the strike is still ongoing.
Yeah. Amid all the stuff that's happening there, do you see the Aloy stuff, the AI stuff and that?
Yeah, I did see that.
I was like, "Yeah, let's pick the worst." Like, the one person they could have picked out and the one character is like, "Let's pick Ashley Birch, let's pick, like, the Aloy character," and it's like,
Yeah.
fantastic industry. It's like, let's bring AI into this. It's like, Jesus Christ. Um yeah, I do wonder what they're going to do. It's gonna be interesting because, like, God help you. It's for me, where I'm at as well, it's irreparable brand damage. That's what's happened. It's not just the game has poorly sold, because if the game was okay and it didn't sell, or even if the game flopped, you could move on. Because if you did everything you thought you could do in terms of just like lore and story, you could be like, let's wrap it, let's go and move on to things. Let's go and make a game with Alex Chen in it, or let's go make a game with Steph Gingrich in it. No, you've damaged the IP, you've damaged the IP, and you've damaged the brand. And
Yeah.
and I'm 100% keep saying this as well. I think people would have even more of an issue with this game if Hannah Tell was not carrying it. She carries the game from start to finish. This is on her, and this is what annoys me more about the award ceremonies, especially the BAFTAs. I'm like, I can't believe she's not nominated for a BAFTA, especially when you see how the game plays out. 'Cause it's like she's really taking the performance in. It's a performance of a lifetime. It's like obviously she's more iconically known for the first game, but this game, it's like she's doing the legwork to keep it afloat. But I do wonder what they're going to do next. I'm still thinking about that. I have a
Yeah.
funny feeling I know what's going to happen, but like I'm still like thinking like, do you pivot? Would you pivot?
I mean, at this point, can they pivot? Because they have to be into production by now, like, they have to be many months into production, and I'm sure that the game is already written, so how much money do is that just a sunk cost? Uh,
Mm,
you know, it how much money can they really put into this is my question.
you're right, because the thing that happens there as well is that the game has financially underperformed,
Yeah.
and to do what you're doing there as well, as you said, you'd have to put more money into it, and you'd have to scrap things. And as you said, the game is likely to be written because you're going to move things forward and go from there. And ironically, the pivot doesn't really work for Square or Deck Nine because they're both trapped into corners. The game has literally trapped them both into corners, and the schedule because they put all their eggs in one basket, thinking this is going to be a massive hit, and they misread the room completely, and they've like just boxed themselves into it. So it's like unless they halt the production, they're going to be willing to take that financial hit. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out because like that game, like you have to, because like the worst thing is, well, if the first game, Double Exposure, has flopped financially, what's to say the second one's going to succeed unless Chloe Price is in the trailer? You'd have to put it in the
Exactly.
trailer, front and center. But then, how do you deal with the events of the first game and what you've done for the story, or do you retcon that, or just move into a different direction? Square have put themselves into a corner. I think, ironically, the worst thing that because like for me, there's two funny things that I take from the Life is Strange franchise. We'll come towards the end. Is that one is that they don't nod walked its separate ways from Life is Strange, but ironically, they finished the first game on the amazing, like, point where it's at, but it also feels like, for me at least, from my interpretation, it feels like a bit of a middle finger because it's like, actually, try and make a story out of this after we're gone because, like, it's so hard to make. It's like a middle finger because it's like, actually, try and make it because how are you going to do this? And they've struggled to eventually get to the point where they did with Double Exposure to make a game off it. And I know they did the comics, but it has always been a difficult point. And the second point has been with Square Enix, and I agreed with you as well. I thought one of the things you said was really interesting was where you said there was fail safes built into the game, and I think the
Yeah.
original intention, with the original script was there was enough leeway to move into certain directions. I think the original draft, if you had seen the game that it plays out to be, then I think you're okay in certain because you'd be like, okay, we'll move on from it. Obviously, what you get in the final product is nothing like that because all the stuff's happened. Those fail safes are blown up all the way across the entire journey. And the worst part is you can't fail safe what happens at the end of the game, which is that you put Max Caulfield will return. because anything you do now that isn't Max Caulfield will return is embarrassing because you're going to accept, because
True.
what you did there was you destroyed the anthology of the series because the series was this anthology model, and you were like, "Oh, actually, we're just going to make Max Caulfield games because we want Max Caulfield to be the face of the franchise." Then what are you going to do? Make an anthology game? Because like, hang on a minute, I thought the DNA of the series was important. You shifted the DNA and you're shifting it back all of a sudden. So you've trapped yourself into a corner there, and then you've got this story to deal with, which is really contained. So it's like everything that has happened there, you kind of screwed on certain points. Like there's one or two caveats. If I was writing the sequel, God help me. Like if I was writing the sequel, there's like one or two points where I'm like, actually, maybe I can work off that to make the sequel and like push it in the pivoting direction. But then also the other one is, will Square pivot? And then where's the game in production stage as well? And where is it at? And
Yeah.
what's happening here? Those are the big questions that are being asked about it. And to be honest as well, considering the way they handled Max, I don't really ever want them to touch Chloe Price ever, ever.
I
Because like
mean, they
Matt,
did fine in Before the Storm.
yeah, but none of them are there now though. They're
Well,
all
that's
gone. Where Pickersgill is in performance direction, and it's like, what? It's like, yeah, let's just put the Before the Storm co-director out into performance. Like whatever they were doing there, God only knows. I'm like, yeah, let's take the guy who actually made the one entry which really people love. I know it's a divisive entry in its own respect, but like people still loved it. It was an entry point, but we'll
Oh, I
put
loved
him
it.
out into motion capture. What's up?
I said I loved it. I mean, and also I think that the only, like, real hit that can be made after this is to do an After the Storm, because Max Caulfield would return and people would be happy, the OG fans would be happy.
Oh dear Lord Almighty! I've never seen something so. It'd be like me replacing Adam with like another version of me for our podcast, and then it's like I'm like, why are the numbers going down? Why
Yeah,
are people not
exactly.
enjoying this? It's like it's just two miserable people talking the podcast. That's why. But
That's
like,
why Fireside with A&A is a flop,
it's
because you just
like
replaced Adam with a lookalike.
Jesus Christ. Oh my god, I just don't like strange. Like we're recording this 21st, and I said to Abby on the 23rd, Strange Customs 4 years old. I'm sitting here with a podcast with Adam, and I'm like, and we're like, and we come on thinking like we don't want to be negative, and it's like it'll enter the conversation. I'm like, oh my god, it's like my temper starts to just rise, and I'm like, why? It was just so easy to make, and you messed it up, man. Like, I just,
Yeah,
oh god Almighty, maybe
yeah.
I just can't. I don't even want to touch the characters now at this point because it's like you've already made like a pig's dinner of it. Let's make more of a pig's dinner out of it. Imagine them bringing Chloe Price back. Like Square's the kind of company where it's like because people. This is for me as well, where I throw my shade at Square. Square Enix is like the company where basically people like bring Chloe Price back. We're fine with it being Rihanna DeVries. They're like, okay, let's bring back Chloe Price. We'll recast Rihanna DeVries. It's like why? It's like
Yeah,
why? Just when you've got something and it works, just stick with it. Just do
exactly.
that. You know, just like pay Ashley Birch a fortune and make the game with like Life is Strange. You know,
Yeah,
with
you'd
Hannah
make it
Tell
that
opposite.
well, I mean, that's if she didn't want to, and
Well,
I think that's
yeah,
probably a no, especially with the strike. So,
that's the
and
other
it's a
thing.
lot
You
of
know,
moving parts. I just feel like we're just gonna have the same conversation over and over.
I'm like screaming internally, like, oh God Almighty!
Like the
When
old
I go
man
back and play
screaming.
that game, I was putting like let me just I'm gonna show you this before we go because it went. I got numbers on Twitter and I'm like I'm so all about the numbers. No, I need to show you this because it's like it's so on point and it's how I feel about things and it's just infuriating where we're at.
I haven't been
This
on
look at this.
Twitter in months.
That's not good. Right here we go. Look at this. I put this out and I was like come on man, like did we really have to end up in this state?
Oh, yeah, I hate Ben. Ben can go. They should just write him out of
So
the game.
oh god, he's so horrible. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I was like, how can you go from that to that? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not asking for much, man. Even True Colors was a solid success, man. You're just like, why are we at where we're at, man? Like, come on. I hate Vin.
Yeah, I hate Ben too. He's a
Do
useless
you,
character.
do you when I was I put a graphic out a while ago where it's like all the romance interest, you know, like each of the characters. I made a big one. It took me fucking hours. I'm telling you, it took 8 hours. When I was looking for Vin and Max, the amount of playthroughs I had to watch through just to get the screenshots I could, like, capture. Oh my, there was just, like, no.
'Cause no
And
one
the
wants
worst
to
part was,
admit him.
but dude, the best part was there were some people where it's like, they have it hover over Kiss, and they're like, and then move it over, and it's like, oh my god, I'm like, how many times am I gonna have to watch this one sequence to get, like, this one screenshot? Oh, he's an awful character. Oh, he's an awful, awful character. Like, my word, I've seen bad characters, but that one is like the peak of it. I don't know he's worse than Alderman. I think Alderman's at least a cop, if anything. He's got his like traits. I want you to go back and play this game. Play this game this year. I want you to see what you actually think of it.
Double exposure?
Yeah.
I don't wanna play again. I
Yeah, well,
wanna
there we
keep
go.
our memories.
There's the confession. I'm waiting for that. 'Cause I'm like, when she goes back and plays it, she's gonna be like, I'm like, yeah, welcome to the club, Abby. It's gonna be welcome to
Yeah.
um
Maybe around Christmas. I mean, whatever, I liked it enough, but I just don't care anymore.
just like checked mentally checked out.
Like,
I'd be like, I will figure out who killed Safi. That's my mission in
Max
life at
told
the
her.
moment. Which
Like, I
Max?
the the Max in the other timeline who somehow doesn't exist.
Yes, and then Max stops the murder from happening, and then who kills Safi? And why is Safi dead?
Um,
I became a meme on Twitter because of this last clip in the last episode. Like, yeah, like we still
yeah, I don't
haven't.
know. I don't have the answers.
You know, I've asked people that, and no one's actually been able to give me a straight answer. Like, who killed Safi? I'm like, you know, it's an overarching point of the game, isn't it? It's like there's another. Actually, hang on a minute. Let me see if I can pull this up. I want to show you this because it makes no sense to me at all the way that it's done in the game. Come on, hold on. Uh, oh, where is it now? Who did I reply to about it? Was this when I was on my tirade about Life is Strange? Yes, I was. There we go. I'm gonna pull it up. Do, 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 do. Yeah, there it is. I mean, you at least you'll get a good laugh out of this as well, 'cause I think everyone has. Oh god, just close that. Why do I keep doing
What
that?
are
I
you
keep turning it off,
doing?
man. Right, I'm just putting usually on the bottom of my screen when I'm doing it, it has like the screen share. It's just a video one, so like we're gonna pull this up now.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead. So this was in the official press release. There's yellow flash hockey I'm replying to. What my favorite part was this in the press release. Max realizes the killers will soon strike again in both versions of reality. Like,
Oh,
what?
yeah. That didn't happen. That just, like,
What?
outright didn't happen.
But how can you do that though?
They had an
Like,
intern write that.
oh my god almighty. It's the weirdest game I've ever in my lifetime. It is the weirdest game I've ever covered, or even like even when the press release was released in on the in October when the game came out, there was a quote by Felice Kwan confirming the ending of the game in a press release. I was like, what? How I've never seen a video game press release have someone outright confirm, oh,
Yeah, she
we
did.
end on
Yeah.
we we end on Max Caulfield return. And it's like, do you not want people to buy the game? You've literally just told them there's gonna be more Max. We're wrapping up here. I'm gonna get angry. It's gonna
We're done.
this game is gonna like ruin me one day. I can see certain things with the game where it works, but like what that game once was in its manifestation is long gone from the product you get, and
Yeah.
that's the worst part about
I
it.
don't even consider it an entry into the series, honestly, I take it as its own standalone project, and that's why I'm very chill about it and enjoyed it.
Yeah, but again, that's another thing they shot themselves in the foot. Where it's like, let's make it a canon. If they
Yeah,
said, "Oh, it's just," if they were like, "It's a canon," like they did the comics, that would have like again, no safety net. This game comes out, there's no safety net. Max Caulfield will return. It's canon. It does this. It does that. Nothing. It's like so reckless with an IP. I'm like, what have you done here? Imagine they did that at Lost Records. At the end where it's like Swann Holloway will return, and this happens, and this happens, and that happens, and everything just blows up in their face. It's
yeah.
not a good thing to
Oh!
happen.
Oh, shit. My cat's, like, literally trying to take the poster off the wall.
That cat is doing stuff that you'd see in Double
Yes.
Exposure. Like, why is
Yeah.
it attacking the frame? What's it doing? What is it?
I don't know what she's doing. She's
Oh,
pissed.
I now understand why you get the spray bottle now. Makes sense for how like why is it
Did you
attacking
see
the
that?
what?
Like, she was taking it off the wall.
Jesus.
Stop.
Maybe it's the manifestation of my anger coming to your cat, and it's like going
I think
across there.
so.
Right, I think we should end up here. Is there anything else, any other unfinished business we have?
Like, personally,
Jesus. We have a lot of
I have
unfinished
a lot of
business,
things
you
to
and
say to
I.
you, Adnan,
Well, I haven't done anything.
recently.
That is, do
Think
not pin that on me.
but no, I think we've discussed everything. I'm glad that you've convinced me to play Lost Records, and more to come on that once I get into the
Yeah,
really good parts.
for sure. I think we'll wrap up here. So I hope you all enjoyed this episode. If you did and you liked the video, even if you didn't like the video, you should like it, subscribe, turn notifications to share with the video. If you don't like the video, Abby's cat's going to jump out the screen and start
Yeah,
attacking your photo frame because that's what
that's right.
he,
She.
she, yeah, she
She's
does.
going for it.
What is that cat doing? Like, what? It
Just
just
being a
stopped as
mess.
well. Like a proper like toy character there, where it's like, oh, actually, I'm being caught in the moment. Anyway, yeah, please like the video, share, subscribe. It helps turn and it helps support the channel and turn on notifications as well. These come out every month, hopefully. Hopefully they come out every month. We've had a bit of a mishap with schedules, but going forward it'll happen. Hopefully I get this on RSS feeds at some point in the near future, so we'll move on to podcast services so people can enjoy it. Um, we're back next month. There's a lot of stuff on the channel as well. Go and check out Strangecast. Go and check out Lost Records Journal. Adam will be moving in between, so there's a lot of moving bits that we need to sort out before we get back on schedule. But yeah, do go and check the channel out. Go and subscribe as well. We're almost at 1,700 subscribers, so please do subscribe if you don't already. And yeah, we will catch you soon. Take care, guys. See you later. Bye.